Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively common water-type Pokemon Buizel and its relatively uncommon evolution Floatzel, the two collectively known as the Sea Weasel Pokémon. While they might come off as a bit too cute to be of any real threat, at least at a young age, the members of the Buizel family are adept swimmers that can more than use a bit of tail power to propel them forward both in the water and in battle.
Weasel have long, furry orange bodies with a beige belly and lower face, and 4 limbs with 3 digits each. Being able to stand on their hind legs with little issue, while their front limbs have a pair of blue fringes on the sides that act to help them steer in the water. They have black eyes with a snout and black nose, beige eyebrow markings, a small crest on the top of their head, a pair of black cheek markings on each side of their face, and a pair of long tails with beige ends that are used to propel them in the water, the neck further having a yellow inflatable flotation sac around it. Their evolved form, Floatzel, have a very similar form to Buizel in color and shape, though with a splotch of orange fur on their lower gut, a beige marking in the center of their face, and visible upper canines, their arms having turned beige at the ends, while their cheek markings have also taken on a more triangular shape at the corners of their mouth. The flotation sac that once covered their neck has now grown to encapsulate and snake around their entire torso, covering the back and sides of their neck, as well as the edges of their front torso and around their posterior.
Buizel and Floatzel are noted to be strong swimmers, but this is technically not due to their limbs, but in fact, their tails.
These creatures are distinct among aquatic mammals in that they possess a pair of tails instead of just one, and, oddly enough, both tails are connected to a thick, complex system of muscle tissue and joints near the base of their posterior. At this critical junction, these creatures possess a set of 3 ball and socket joints that are designed to enable these creatures to move the position of their tails from one joint to the other in a rapid fashion. So rapid in fact that their tails spin like a propeller in the water, and occasionally in the air, propelling them at incredible speeds. The thick muscle tissue between each of these joints acts as a lubricant that helps to soften the transition between joints and enables the switch to happen without creating any wear or tear on the surface or interior of their joints. Both Buizel and Floatzel have learned how to use this adaptation to not only cut through thick underwater foliage and strike quickly at underwater targets, but, more importantly, to execute attacks that are rare to see among Pokemon of their kind, such as Whirlpool and Waterfall. Sadly, if for some reason these tails are damaged in any way, it takes several days to an entire week for the injuries to be fully healed, and a complete severing may become impossible to fully spring back from without extensive medical treatment.
This unique adaptation also feeds into the possible abilities, as they allow these beasts to propel themselves more readily through the water than on land, and thus can have swift swim as a base ability, while those that are also able to use it to spray water over their forms in order to douse and soak their fur readily can also have water veil as a hidden ability.
As far as the stats are concerned in the case of Floatzel, it can be said that these beasts do not have the strongest of special powers compared to other water types, and lack much in the way of serious defense, so the base defense, special attack, and special defense stats are all below average for a fully evolved water-type Pokemon. Even so, they can strike back decently hard with physical attacks, and can use their decent stamina and noteworthy agility to take some hits and get out of the way of most others, granting them above average base HP, attack, and speed stats for a fully evolved Pokemon of their type, lending them at least some help in serious battles.
Buizel are somewhat unique among smaller mammals in that they prefer to spend much of their time in the water and only ever go onto land in order to hunt, an act that rarely takes more than a few hours in most cases.
This is thanks to the deceptive agility that Buizel possess on land, which is thought to have been adapted to allow for a sneakier, less direct approach to hunting smaller game. This seems to work perfectly fine for Buizel, as they are unable to deal much in the way of direct damage outside of a tackle attack for quite a bit of their early life. In the water, Buizel are equally agile and are strong swimmers despite their slim physique. However, the low amount of body fat they have on their bodies makes it difficult for them to stay above the water at rest without moving their limbs to paddle upwards. As an adaptation to this problem, Buizel possess a rubbery flotation sac around their necks that can be quickly filled with air from their lungs like a primitive life preserver, enabling them to carefully watch the movements of other creatures in water and near banks without giving their location away. It is fairly difficult to cut the thick membrane that comprises this sac, but it is surprisingly weak against pressure differences and can easily burst if even partially filled at a depth of about 15 feet. So Buizel generally deflate the sac before diving as a way of keeping their bodies in one piece and increasing the speed at which they can dive.
Floatzel are almost identical to Buizel in terms of hunting style and anatomical arrangement, with the only true differences between the two involving their flotation sac and personalities.
While the organic flotation sac of Buizel only covers the neck area for their personal use, the flotation sac on Floatzel is much larger and covers the majority of their body, not counting the limbs or tails. The sac is still resistant against being cut, but is equally weak against pressure differences, so it is always emptied before Floatzel go diving for prey. The fact that this sac allows them to remain on the surface of the water and watch prey without making a sound helps these creatures tackle fairly large organisms that would otherwise be likely to prey on them instead. It turns out that the size of the flotation sac and its arrangement on their bodies serves two distinct purposes, the first of them being that these animals simply need a larger flotation sac to provide the lift needed to negate any chance of them sinking because of the larger body weight. The second one, however, ties more into their personality characteristics. Floatzel seem to take quite a bit of pity on creatures that are stranded in the middle of large bodies of water, particularly when strong predators such as Sharpedo are prevalent in large numbers. Out of the kindness of their hearts, Floatzel uses large flotation sac as a makeshift raft, carrying people and Pokemon alike on their back until they manage to reach a traversable drop-off point. Thankfully for both them and their passengers, few other Pokemon choose to attack Floatzel during these voyages, as Floatzel are easily agitated when transporting others and will fight back ferociously when struck, dealing critical damage or otherwise scaring off organisms with their Ice Fang and Crunch attacks, both of which they gain the capacity to use immediately after evolving.
These unique animals are truly a treat for those that don't mind doing their best to work with their more unique attributes. While they can be a bit on the vicious side if they are not taken care of properly, these beasts are otherwise rather placid and quite friendly towards others and can make for good pets if you live in an area close to a body of water of some sort. They tend to enjoy playing around and only ever really show their worst side when they go hunting, and even then, things could be a lot worse compared to some of the species of Pokemon. The fact that they can even help ferry others across bodies of water when they get older makes them perfect for lifeguard positions at pools or along beaches as well, though they tend to prefer fresh water for the most part. As such, if you're looking for something that can hit fast and hard and yet still be a treat for children and people of all ages to enjoy their time with, you can't go wrong with these funny-looking creatures.
While they might not be among the largest of mammalian beasts, the members of the Buizel family are still entertaining creatures that can make good use of their tails to throw off others in a close-quarters fight. They may not be designed to take a hit very well, but with their agile frames and array of powerful physical strikes, these weasels can more than beat their targets to the punch in many cases and give it their all when needed.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure that they can readily support you in the water before grabbing a hold of them for a spin. Otherwise, they might not react too kindly when a heavy weight they can't support whips them into a bit of an angry frenzy against those expecting too much from them.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.